Apocalyptic collective energy. The destructive energy of the collective is not merely active when something dramatic and newsworthy is happening. It's there all the time as a major theme in the zeitgeist, refracted as a verbal putdown, online trolling, road rage, a shooting, or a nation state invading another country. It's a force we can find in ourselves and others close to us, as well as in the dark machinations of governments, religious ideologies, and other dark forces that coalesce to manipulate civilization. But these forces have their purpose in the great design, just as the word apocalypse originally meant a revelation to humanity by a divine agency. James Joyce's literary alter ego, Stephen Dedalus, said, "History is the nightmare from which I am trying to awaken. There are classic paths of adaptation and resistance based on where you are in the traumatic unfolding of history." One response is captured in a famous quote of unknown provenance, but falsely attributed to Edmund Burke. "All that's necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." This principle is also captured in the saying of first-century Jewish scholar Hillel, "If not you, then who? If not now, when?" The Hillel principle is beautifully captured in a scene in the movie The Dangerous Life of Altar Boys. Two boys find a hurt animal by the side of a road. One of them says something like, "Why don't they help?" The other boy responds, "They? There is no they. We are they." We need to take responsibility for the darkness in the world when there is anything we can do about it. In some situations, we need to fight the destructive forces. But sometimes the opposite of good men doing nothing is not fighting, but making efforts toward the good. An adaptation that may be warranted in some circumstances is captured in the I Ching idea that you may sharpen the fangs of evil by resisting it, and that the best way to fight evil is to make energetic progress in the good. For myself, I find these two principles, directly fighting evil versus sidestepping it and focusing on an energetic progress toward the good, form a dynamic paradoxicalism. A dynamic paradox. You can see my philosophy, dynamic paradoxicalism. And I slide between one pole of the paradox and the other based on specific circumstances. Well, here's an example that just happened. For some reason, I've been getting after not getting that many of them, I've gotten like 10 spam calls today. And sometimes I will draw the person out to waste their time and then tell them how evil they are because they're trying to do some form of elder abuse or something like that. But then I realized that this was probably a waste of time, so I reactivated my RoboKiller app on my phone, and instead of dealing with these calls that would interrupt the making of these videos, I decided to make energetic progress toward the good, not to waste my time with these scammers by telling them what I thought of them, but just to work on the stuff that I do believe in, because they're probably going to keep doing what they're doing regardless. If you find yourself in a nightmarish part of history or a personal situation where destructive forces predominate, you're not alone. Try not to take it personally or define yourself as merely a victim. Get busy adapting. Use both intuition and strategic thinking to decide where you need to confront and fight the evil, and when it is more ethically efficient to sidestep it as you make energetic progress toward the good. Overcome political correctness and use humor to confront, satirize, understand, and diffuse darkness. For example, one of my Jewish relatives told me a very psychologically insightful Holocaust joke. As a group of Jews are in a firing line about to be executed by Nazi guards when one of the Jews asks if he can have a cigarette first. The Jew next to him exclaims, "Stop, You'll make trouble. The joke revealed the foolishness of some fearfully accommodating diaspora Jews. Of course, the oppressed are always in the act of becoming the oppressor, and some Jews overcompensate for the millennia of victim ancestry by becoming oppressors. The point is that, I guess I can say this because I am Jewish and grew up with Holocaust survivors, that even Holocaust jokes can serve a valuable function. So watch out for the modern tendency, at least in 2024, to not allow any humor that might possibly offend anyone, when humor has been one of the great tools we've used to fight tyranny and other oppressive forces. When you view conflicts, remember that there are usually victims and oppressors on both sides. Don't let fear of dark forces paralyze you. Recite the Litany Against Fear from the Dune books. And let's see, well, I might as well read that. This is the Litany Against Fear from the Dune books. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. I love the Litany Against Fear, but I would say it's what's really more practical is to feel the fear, but take the morally correct action or the useful action anyway. Back in my mountain climbing days, like many people who get into mountain climbing, I still have far above average fear of heights. But what I learned, and it was a very useful lesson, was that it didn't really stop me from reaching for the next handhold or taking or foothold or whatever. I could still climb as well as anybody else, and the extra fear may have given me a little more adrenaline to stay alert. So don't let fear stop you. No matter how bad things get, remember, this too shall pass.